Ladies and gentlemen, you welcome to this edition of the news on Équinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babla Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, the tension in the northwest and southwest regions of the country is still rising, according to information streaming into our studios from the population and civil society organizations. In the meantime, the President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya, set the stage for the regional elections, and opposition politicians in the Republic of Cameroon express worries about conflicts that could emanate from the implementation of the new decentralization code ahead of regional elections in the country. In the meantime, the spokesperson of the major national dialogue, Dr. George Equinoxe, says it is time to break the neck of guns in the two Anglophone regions of the country. He was speaking today in Yaoundé on the sidelines of the first meeting of the follow-up committee of the major national dialogue. The first meeting of the follow-up committee of the major national dialogue took place today in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, and speaking within the framework of that meeting, the spokesperson of the major national dialogue, Dr. George Equinoxe, said it is time to break the neck of guns in the two Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon for peace and normalcy to return. The committee met today under the chairmanship of Prime Minister Joseph Dion at the Prime Ministry, evaluating what has been done so far, 1 year down memory lane after the major national dialogue with regards to efforts in finding a way out of the Anglophone crisis and restoring peace and normalcy in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. And the Prime Minister said the members of the committee charged with the responsibility of ensuring the full implementation of recommendations of the major national dialogue are working a way out of the troubled waters to a situation of peace in those two crisis-stricken regions. And the spokesperson George Equinoxe indicated that time has come to break the neck of guns for peace and normalcy to return. Take a listen to Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute and the spokesperson of the major national dialogue, Dr. George Equinoxe, in this extract. The members of the committee charged with the responsibility of ensuring the implementation of recommendations of the major national dialogue, as I indicated earlier, were examining what has been done so far, 1 year down memory lane after that event, which brought together political, administrative, civil society and religious leaders from across the board, from within and from outside the country, to discuss the way out of the major crisis affecting the Republic of Cameroon, that is the Anglophone crisis. And the Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute, who was the president of that event, indicated that the members of the committee are working out solutions to the problem, are working out the way out of the troubled waters to a situation of peace and normalcy in Anglophone Cameroon. Take a listen to Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute and the spokesperson of the major national dialogue, Dr. George Equinoxe. All right, we continue with something else, and in the report coming up next, Innocent Aze says that the President of the Republic has set the stage for the regional elections amid tension and unstable socio-political climate in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. Signed a presidential decree yesterday concerning the putting in place of the regional councils ahead of the regional elections. Innocent as they read through that document and compiled this report.
In spite of the tense socio-political atmosphere characterized by gun battles and killings in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, President Paul Biya set the regional election ball rolling by stamping his signature on a presidential decree Wednesday, September 2nd, thereby fixing the number of regional councillors per division and per category. All 10 regions of the country will each have 90 representatives, with the regional council seats shared evenly. That is 70 divisional representatives and 20 representatives of traditional rulers per region. In the Northwest region, the Mesan division has highest number of representatives with 21, thus 18 divisional representatives and 3 representatives of traditional rulers, with Bui division second with 16 representatives, that is 13 divisional representatives and 3 representatives of traditional rulers. In the Southwest region, Fako and Meme divisions have the highest number of representatives, 24 and 18 respectively. In the Far North region, marked by Boko Haram attacks, Mayo Danai, Zamare and Logona Shari divisions have the highest representatives, 18 each. In the north, Benue, Mayo Ray and Mayo Lutsi divisions have 33, 23 and 22 representatives respectively, while in the Adamawa region, Vina and Biri divisions have highest with 29 and 18 representatives respectively. In the Littoral region, Wuri and Mungo divisions have the highest, 35 and 24 representatives respectively, while in the Central region, the Nyongankele, Lekye, Mbaman Inubo divisions have highest number of representatives, 12 and 11 respectively. Mefu and Afamba division has 10 representatives. In the West region, the Nun, Menwa, Bambutus and Opankam divisions have 20, 14 and 12 representatives respectively. In the South region, the Jar and Lobo division has 26 representatives, while Villa and Ocean divisions have 25 each. In the East region, the Opanyong and Lom and Jorem divisions have 28 and 26 representatives respectively. The dates of the regional election will be known subject to President Paul Biya convening the Electoral College.
And opposition politicians are expressing worries with regards to conflicts that could emanate from the implementation of the new decentralization code. And speaking today in the country's economic capital Douala during a meeting with ELECAM officials, some members of political parties or some political party leaders indicated that there are lots of flaws in the decentralization code that could generate conflicts. According to Sam Baka, vice president of the Union Democratique du Cameroon, that is the Cameroon Democratic Union political party, there are lots of things that should be revised in the decentralization code before the regional elections. And he says that the implication of traditional rulers in politics without the creation of a chamber, or what is referred to in Anglophone Cameroon as House of Chiefs, in all the regions of the country will have an adverse impact on the communities and their cultures and traditions. But the member of the Electoral Board of Elections Cameroon, Professor Pierre Titi Noel, chairing that meeting, indicated that the voters are not bound by political lines in the choice or in their choice, and they have to stick to the interests of the regions and not party or personal interests, according to Professor Pierre Titi Noel. And he indicated that traditional leaders should be involved in politics, governance, development, and democracy. They should not be limited to cultures and traditions. This is what Professor Pierre Titi Noel, member of Elections Cameroon, told the politicians who were reacting concerning the decentralization code during a meeting today here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. On to something else now. We talk about strike action of some workers of the Cameroon Development Corporation, CDC. Today, some of the inhabitants of the area went on the strike today, notably workers of the CDC. They went on strike today protesting against a project marked by the Cameroon Development Corporation, and they are calling on the head of state to intervene in the matter. They are indicating that the project will lead to loss of many jobs and incomes, and of course they protested today in the plantations of the CDC, and they also went to the Tico Council to express their grievances. Take a listen to some of them.
To carry out our normal daily activities. The workers who are beside me, they are supposed to be clearing. We are supposed to keep the plantation clean. But unfortunately, I've just discovered that the administration, in collaboration with our chiefs, they are still going further with felling of our palms, which will render us unemployed, something we don't like. That's why I've decided with my colleagues here to stage is please, what we really need the administration to do for us is to stop the felling. We are not expanding our plantations, we are felling, giving out to newly out. What are we going to do? This will create unemployment for us, and we don't intend to go to the bushes. As concerns our salary, usually we are being paid after about 2 months, so we are managing. As Cameroonians, all of us are managers, we are managing. We are thinking about tomorrow. Not every land belongs to the state. We understand very well. We understand that very well. Like I said, in the nearest future, we are going to notify the administrations as concerns our intention. We are here to work, but with the present situation, I cannot work. So I'm going back with my worker.
Several inhabitants of Buda in the west region of Cameroon are on the streets protesting against a decision transferring the commander of the Buda Gendarmerie Brigade, Senior Warrant Officer Lachele Sebastien. They say that the transfer of the officer is going to put the security of the area at stake. He has been at war against insecurity in that part of the country. Details with Manjik and Gabriel.
Disgruntled commercial bike riders block access routes into Mbuda in the west region. They are in a peaceful demonstration to call on the authorities to cancel the decision that has transferred Senior Warrant Officer Lachele Sebastien, the commander of Gendarmerie Brigade in Buda. The protesters brandished messages like, "Our security will be threatened should the commander go. We want our commander. Leave our commander alone for our security." Circulation into Mbuda was paralyzed for several hours until security forces were deployed to keep away the angry population.
If commandant go, even we by people them, we never are on no day. Would you wait? Commandant go no place. Now why they outside?
Senior Warrant Officer Lachele Sebastien has been transferred to Ngumu in the center region to maintain the same position he occupied in Buda.
Elements of the National Gendarmerie in the Mbanga in the Mongo Division littoral region of Cameroon are on an investigation to track down the killer of a 31-year-old man at Ndo 3 village in that part of the country, and of course the man was discovered dead. Investigations are on course. Once more, Manjik and Gabriel files in details.
A remarkable discovery made by the elements of the Gendarmerie Brigade in Banga, Mongo Division of the littoral region. We are at Ndo village, where the lifeless body of a man by name Anjek Daddy was found in the pool of his own blood on a farmland.
I want interference at Kakao. I hear some man one time from my back say, they call you. You know the year?
According to an eyewitness who is a native of Ndor 3 village, the man was not a hunter by profession, making his death to be suspicious.
I want to go again. He said, je vois que tu veux être agressif. I told my security girl and say, hey, aggressive dans quoi? I did aggressive for waiting.
By the side of the 31-year-old Anjek Daddy, a rifle was found alongside 2 cartridges. His body was later taken away by the elements of the gendarmerie to the mortuary as investigations have been opened by Commander Bebe Nyem of the Gendarmerie Brigade in Banga.
The collapse of the polar bridge connecting Marwa, Mora, Kusiri and Chad has halted the movement of goods and services in the area, notably affecting transactions between Chad and Cameroon, and the bridge collapsed as a result of a heavy downpour that hit the area. Immaculate Fogwe.
The recent collapse of the Pala Bridge, which connected Marwa, Mora, Kusiri and Chad, is having an adverse effect on socio-economic activities in the area. Road users are now forced to ply on flooded parts in Baoliwo, which now serves as a deviation, a situation which has caused several vehicles to break down, thus hampering circulation for several hours. The heavy rains witnessed recently in the area has further plunged the town in floods, with several vehicles located at the edge of Mayo Kalio swept away. Though no one was killed by the floods, enormous material damages were recorded. Several vehicles were swept away by the heavy floods. Inhabitants of the area decry the fact that heavy-duty trucks now ply on the stretch, which was used only by pedestrians and motorcycles. The collapse of the Mizao bridge few months ago has forced drivers to now depend on this flooded path. Now, the Pala bridge has equally collapsed, thus worsening the situation. Heavy-duty trucks are not supposed to ply on this road, or we risk equally seeing it collapse. The government should do something. Following the collapse of the Mizao bridge few months ago and now the Pala bridge, activities have been greatly affected, thus paralyzing the economy. Residents are appealing to the state to reconstruct these collapsed bridges in order to reduce the challenges they are facing.
And I told you earlier that members of the Major National Dialogue Follow-up Committee were meeting today in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, evaluating the work that has been done so far, 1 year down memory lane after the Major National Dialogue. And of course, this is within the framework of efforts to restore peace and normalcy in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. And the members of the Major National Dialogue Follow-up Committee were looking at what has been done and projecting into the future, mapping the way forward to total restoration of peace and normalcy in those regions. And they are meeting at a time when violence is on the rise in the 2 Anglophone regions of the country. Take a listen to Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Guti and the spokesperson of the Major National Dialogue, Dr. George Iwane.
It should enable us to design a roadmap for ensuring that our children in all our villages and towns in the northwest and southwest regions peacefully resume schools. Our businessmen and women in those 2 regions restart their enterprises, and our brothers and sisters who have become refugees and internally displaced persons go back to their villages and carry on with their regular activities again. By deciding to create this committee, the head of state, His Excellency Paul Biya, has continued to demonstrate his profound commitment to follow through with delivering on the deep aspirations of our people, peace, prosperity, and harmonious living together. I dare challenge all of us to exhibit our patriotism and our love for our homeland, to be relentless in investing effort and time in this mission for posterity. The membership, composition, and caliber foretell the hope vested in this committee. Our individual and collective actions will definitely take us in the right direction, that which will lead to a return of peace in the Northwest and Southwest regions and strengthen our resilience as a people. I therefore formally declare open the inaugural session of the committee to follow up the implementation of the recommendations of the major national dialogue.
This first meeting, like you know, held against the background of COVID-19. So it wasn't easy for us to come together, but we all braved the odds because we know, as participants did agree, that it was time to completely bend the neck of the gun in the southwest and in the northwest regions of Cameroon. This inaugural meeting thus took stock of the recommendations of the major national dialogue implemented so far. They also examined the way forward in the attempt to fostering complete peace in the northwest and in the southwest regions of Cameroon.
That was the spokesperson of the major national dialogue, Dr. George Equinoxe, speaking there, and he said that it is time to break the neck of guns so that peace and normalcy can return in the northwest and southwest regions. And the people of Boyo division in the northwest region are also saying that they are earnestly looking forward to the day when the 4-year-long bloodshed and destruction of properties will come to an end. They expressed their earnest desire for the return of peace and normalcy in the area of residence and the entire Anglophone Cameroon to the governor of the Northwest region, Adolphe Lele-Lafrique. Our correspondent Stella was there and now reports.
This is Government Bilingual High School Fundong in a deplorable state. It is alleged that the school was burnt by gunmen in an attempt at keeping teachers and students away from their classes. Fighting between the non-state armed groups and the military has been on for 3 years now. This is what is left of this once busy Bello runabout. Every activity is halted and business premises in ruins. Parents are now worried about the tomorrow they are building today.
When the school go back, I'm not say what's in the car. Because putting in their house. They don't go to they be like say they want to finish. We no find so. When the school go back, mom will be happy.
We don't find we are market things and we will try for work now. No way, no day for we now for sell we are capping. And that kind of war is the worry we plenty. You think them know they go school? Even we are women, them no good chance for the small thing way for keeping them there.
The Northwest Regional Governor Adolphe Lele-Lafrique visits Boyo after a 6-day military raid. At the Fundong Motor Park, he encouraged the population to form vigilante groups and support government's reconstruction plan.
And for those whose homes were burnt, whose property were destroyed, whose cattle were killed or taken by robbers, we have to declare it to the neighboring administrative authorities through your traditional rulers, because the rebuilding plan decided by head of state is soon coming to start the rebuilding process of the region.
The governor equally chaired this meeting. It is a conclave for traditional rulers of Boyo division, but not all of them are here. Some are being held by gunmen. They were taken on their way to this gathering.
We are sorry that some could not attend. I'm quite sure that from today and after the riot that are going to perform here, it will instill a new spirit in the mind of our children, like it happened in the 50s and the 60s. I'm convinced that a new page in the history of the Cameroon are going to be written again from, provided we, the people, you, the traditional ruler, representing our forefathers here, accept together like one man to take new step towards peace. This is it.
As at the time of this report, their whereabouts is unknown, but in view of the upcoming regional elections, the traditional rulers have been called upon to actively take part in the process.
ETV's Mo Stella ending the first part of this newscast. Talking Point is up next. Our guest today is a clergyman and political analyst, Apostle Ambi Valentine. You're welcome.
Good evening, Babila. Good evening, televiewers of Equinoxe Television. Good evening, Cameroonians. Once more, it's a privilege, again, an opportunity to discuss heart-burning issues concerning our nation, Cameroon. God bless you.
Thank you for joining us today. What do you think about the optimism in the voice of the governor of the Northwest region, Adolphe Lele-Lafrique? You heard him speaking there to the people of the Boyo division with a lot of optimism.
You don't expect somebody who is representing authority to be pessimistic. He's representing authority and he's been told what to do, and definitely he has to act according to others. There is no way anybody will accept defeat in a war front. And as the governor of that region, I think he is carrying out his job as assigned by the head of state. And secondly, he's trying to energize and infuse enthusiasm in the hearts of the people. But if you look at the faces of the people, you can be able to psychologically read that the people are not comfortable with what is happening. And on both sides, they are facing a lot of traumas, both from the separatists and the military. And at a certain level, there are things you cannot explain. You just have to succumb to the circumstances around you. But I want to make us understand that putting the cart before the horse is what is causing the prolonged agitation that continues in the Northwest and Southwest region. The government has to put their heads on ground and all hands on deck to make sure this crisis comes to an end. All this gingering, enthusiasm, optimism they are stirring the atmosphere will not solve the crisis, because we were told some people were going to the meeting were arrested on the road by the same separatists that they are trying to energize people to forget about them. So the truth is, let us be factual and be real to handle the thing the way it's supposed to be.
Putting the cart before the horse. Can you explain?
Yes, putting the cart before the horse. The government is carrying out a lot of measures why they have not treated what is supposed to be treated. It's like trying to treat the branch of a tree when the root is rotten. For instance, the crisis is going on. We had serious gunshots yesterday, and people were dispersed in the market square in Bamenda and other places. There was gunshot in Boyo, and there are still gunshots everywhere. They are planning reconstruction. They are carrying out decentralization processes, and the governor is speaking as if the atmosphere is actually at ease. It is not at ease. They should be able to treat what is causing the uproar in the region before trying to carry out all the activities right now. Yesterday they announced, they said the head of state gave a presidential decree concerning the decentralization of the regions and different regional delegates. Some regions have more delegates.
We'll be coming to that in a short while. Yeah. Dr. George Ewane, spokesperson of the Major National Dialogue, said today during the first meeting of the follow-up committee of the Major National Dialogue at the Prime Minister in Yaoundé that it is time to break the neck of guns so that peace and normalcy can return to those two regions. What's your take on that?
It is trying to break the neck of guns. Babila, we have been breaking that since from 2016.
But the guns are still talking.
They are still talking. That's what I'm making you understand, that the cosmetic measures being used to resolve the crisis has not helped anything. The truth is, when you use cosmetic solutions for too long and they are not producing any result, you have to come back to yourself. There's something called regurgitation. When an animal eats herbs, regurgitate. There's a time to remeditate and think of what you have applied as principles. Everything has failed. I don't want to start going on the different commissions that were set up, the visitation of the Prime Minister and other things that have been carried out in order to bring down the crisis. It doesn't seem, it means they have not touched the core of the crisis.
Is it not time to break the neck of the guns?
It is time to break the neck of the guns if only we're going to accept the reality on ground. We cannot be fictitious in our mentality and operating with myth and think that we are going to solve problems with imaginations. We cannot. There is this illusion we live with in Cameroon here that is actually affecting the country. We think we can think things and get them solved. We have to get down to practical realities. It's obvious that we said the war will end for 2 weeks. It's getting 4 years, and we don't know it may take the next 10 years. This is guerrilla warfare. It's not something that you are facing an enemy directly. It's some people who are hiding somewhere. They come up, they strike, they disappear. The war has no focus. It has no plan. Even the generals do not have a plan for this war. They cannot be able to trace where the enemy is and be able to attack because they are not stable, they are rotational. Let us come on a table and dialogue and solve this problem once and for all. Stop beating around the bush and fidgeting here and there.
The Prime Minister, however, thinks that the follow-up committee, the Major National Dialogue Follow-up Committee, which met today in Yaoundé, is working out the way out of the troubled waters, is working out a way back to a normal life situation as it was before late 2016. Don't you think this commission, with the implementation of the Major National Dialogue recommendations, can this bring some solution, bring some relative peace and normalcy?
We pray it does, because the special status that was spoken of during the Major National Dialogue is a farce. It's a porous and empty document that has no promises. It has nothing to offer the people. The truth is, people can place a demand for a handshake. They have not asked for embracement. They've asked for embracement. You at least give them a handshake. They have asked for certain things. You have not even been able to solve the crisis of the teachers and the lawyers that initially sparked off. I will call it the immediate cause of the crisis, even though they were remote causes. The immediate cause has not been attended to the core. If you ask lawyers and teachers, they will tell you that they are not satisfied with the measures taken to satisfy their plea. But
the common law bench at the Supreme Court, the common law department in the National School of Administration, the School of Administration.
Those are some of the things that have been offered.
The translation of the Ohada laws.
Babila, we score percentage to pass exams. If I ask of 100 and you give me 30, I have not passed. The teachers cannot offer 100, you give them 25. It's not a pass. Give them at least 50. Give them 60 or 70. That's not a pass. That's what I'm telling you. If they make 12 recommendations and you forfeit 3, it's not a pass. Give them at least 6. Give them at least 7. That's the reason why we see you have silence and vocal enemies against the state. There are a group of people who are not comfortable with the recommendations taken to solve the teachers and the lawyers' plea, and there are others who are not just comfortable with the system of rulership at all. We have to be able to come to a consensus and be able to handle these things as people who are rational. As a matter of fact, when you see guns start smoking in every nation, it's a sign that minds have failed. The smoking of guns in a nation is only an indication that brains have collapsed. I think that our brains have to be rekindled and refired to be able to take mental prowess to handle this crisis. Guns will never solve any problem. It cannot give us a solution.
That is one of the things which Senator Mbela Moki Charles highlighted recently. He said reconstruction should start from the mind.
The mind.
The mind should be reconstructed before physical reconstruction on the ground.
Of course, because people are psychologically traumatized. Like 2 days ago, when another media were talking that many voices are being raised for an Anglophone to be the next president. That already gives a psychological cure to the fact that we are not a demented species of human beings. We are not the ones who are the lower class or the inferior class. Minority is not inferiority. We may be the minority, but we are not inferior. That sense of belonging and consciousness of our responsibility should be given back to us. And that is the plea we are making every day. We are not praying for a separated country. We are not agitating for separation. But at least our place should be recognized in the country. So we have to start by reconstructing the mind. That's the reason why when we are talking about dropping down the guns, we drop the guns from our minds for putting it on the ground through their hands. So we have to do something to sensitize the people that guns in our hands does not solve the problem. Like I will always say, when you see guns start smoking, it's only a sign that minds have collapsed.
And the question now is how to reconstruct the minds, because there are some who were traumatized by some experiences, some happenings around them, and they have left the area to other places, and they are being gradually, uplifted from that position, while others are still there and they are still being traumatized. Guns are still talking, some are still being killed, slaughtered, and so on and so forth. How do we reconstruct the mind in this kind of atmosphere?
How did we start to sensitize people about HIV and AIDS? How did we start to sensitize people about COVID-19? It is but normal that we can still use those some measures and strategies to sensitize the people and educate them. The media is a very fundamental platform. It plays a pivotal role. As a matter of fact, Franklin Roosevelt in America fought wars on media. He was a crippled, but he had such oratory capacity that was able to convince. You see the case of Joseph Goebbels in the days of Hitler. It was Hitler's propaganda machinery. He even claimed lands that Hitler had not taken through the media. Winston Churchill also had to use the media to bring. So we have to use the media as a strong force to communicate to people the need for guns to be dropped. How do we communicate this? We make them understand their place back in the society, give them the privileges that they have asked. That's where we begin, by reconstructing the mind. I'm dropping this gun like this. It was something that took me to the bush. It means something better is coming. I have to drop this gun. You cannot tell me to drop a gun when you have not told me what I'm going to get after dropping that gun.
They have been told that when they drop the guns, they will be received in DDR centers and reinserted into the normal life train and so on. Was
DDR center part of the pleas of the people? You are not answering the direct question and the worries of the people. Creating a DDR center was not one of the things that the teachers submitted, neither the lawyers or the Southern Cameroonians in court are agitating for. DDR center was not one of the 12 points submitted by the teachers. It isn't a solution. Answer them to what they submitted, then start telling them that, okay, we're going to give you this, but we cannot give you this. At least it will give them the sense that part of their demands and their pleas have been answered.
All right, we are rounding up now. But the President of the Republic signs a decree setting the pace for the regional elections. What's your opinion on that?
Things are first of all juxtaposed. Maurice Kamto is at one end agitating that if regional elections are being held, he's going to carry out the protest in the street. So if you look at it critically, at the north we are facing Boko Haram, in the east we are facing the Central African crisis, Southern Cameroon's challenges there, and then we are talking about regional elections. We are talking about chiefs that are going to be put in regional council who are not even in their villages. Who are the people who are going to sit in those different regional sectors to run those councils? Are they ghosts? That is, I mean, we should be rational. We are Cameroonians and we are well exposed. As a matter of fact, Cameroon is the most educated nation in CEMAC. Now, we should act as who we are. We shouldn't be acting lesser than what we are being described. Another adjective should not be given to Cameroonians because they are acting contrary to their original identity. I know that our president is intelligent, the ministers are intelligent. Let them act the intelligence that is in them rather than taking politics to maneuver reality.
Apostle Ambi Valentine, thanks for coming.
Thank you, Babylon. Thank you,
we
Cameroonians.
Certainly have other opportunities to discuss more in greater details national issues. Thanks for your time.
It's a privilege. Thank you too.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today.